each of us experience in our daily life, in our professional life, that will help us to all leverage. This is only the beginning. Your real task comes when you have to actually apply this. So, Central Bank has imposed the enterprise-wide risk reporting at the end of April 30th. Right? Anyone responsible for completing that? Or has a component to add to that?
The quarterly bank lending portion.
The quarterly bank lending portion.
Sorry.
Okay. And it's another problem. So, you are not in alignment with the interest of risk management in the context of your non-systemic operation. Okay, so what I just say? The point is, you should have known that there was an ERM requested by Central Bank. You're doing the CIRM course.
Yeah, we should.
Right? This was issued in a quarterly communication to all senior officials and executives of each institution. So the first thing is, each of you should have left last week and said to whomever is senior within your operation, whoever received it, can I now start to receive access, right, if only observer of the Central Bank quarterly communication? Because a wealth of information goes there. Secondly, how many of you just go right to the Central Bank website, just in cursory reading?
I do.
Securities Commission?
No.
No. It's important. Compliance Commission? Insurance Commission? So, we only go there if we have something to do, right? So, but as a part of macro analysis, right, in order for you to fully appreciate some of the decisions that you need to make as a part of ERM, you need to at least know some of the regulations and laws here. Because we always say comfortably and very comfortably, because we rest on it, right, as if it has some statutory backing, international best practices. What is that, right? Because you could get in trouble for international best practices. Okay? So, Basel. April 1. Strategy. Broken into which components?
Operational, credit, market. And market.
And what's Basel consideration for market risk? From an investment risk perspective. Okay, so it's nice to see that Basel said Pillar 1 is credit, ops, and market, right? So now what does market mean in the context of investment risk from a directive as to how you should align the application of Basel? We talked about it. You already did it in session 1 and 2. I'll just drop a one thing, credit rating. Right? Some credit agencies are, ooh, So if we have, let's just say some vanilla type of investments, what are some of the key components relative to the vanilla investments that we should think about when we look at the credit rating?
Rate of return, that sort of stuff.
When we think about the credit rating wouldn't necessarily give us the ROE or the yields.
The past performance. Maybe.
You may get some perspective on past performance, but that would be at a systemic level, at the country level, right? We're gonna go to a micro view of the credit rating, because the credit rating has two main components. What are they? Y'all are the session 1 and 2, right? I'm just saying, we in session 3. Hold on a minute. See, I connecting the dots for y'all, you know. Okay? I know, right? Hold on. So a long-term and a short-term credit or risk view of the institution or that geographical location, right?
So
And-
products could be like products? Sorry.
No, it'll just give you a time horizon.
Right.
It'll give you a time horizon view, right? Now, in that time horizon view, you know, in accounts or financial services in general, we always talk about the matching principle, right? Everything just gotta make sense, right? If you want to catch the sale, you gotta have money at the time when the sale happening. If you have money, it don't make no sense because you really want to catch the sale because the sale ain't happening yet. So how do you find the point of satisfactory equilibrium, right? And that's where risk managers come in. Because in the real world, you don't have all the answers, right? But you at least know, you firstly start off with this pillar one,
Capital strategy.
the strategy. So, whenever an organization don't have a strategic plan, I need to say nothing further, right? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? So if you don't have a strategic plan, if you don't have a comprehensive strategic plan, I cannot properly assess my inherent suite of risk facing the institution to then be able to make a sound investment risk decision. Now, investment risk doesn't necessarily mean quantum. What are your investment risk components in an organization? What is considered an investment in an organization?
Staff is an investment.
Human capital, right? What else is there?
Technology.
This conversation don't sound familiar? Linda. Let me go back to that favorite slide. Now if I... Okay. Who was in your last week? I don't want. Okay. So, for someone who was here last week, could you break this down? We could break it down collectively. Anytime today. Break it down.
What's your question? What you want me?
I have no question. I say break it down.
Well, I guess for taking an organization, the whole organization, the entire enterprise, these are the different, the business risk, investment risk, operational, legal compliance. Those are the different, I guess, silos or components that you should consider.
Okay, excellent. Someone else. Let's build. Let's build onto it. Remember, it's not rocket science. You already know the answer.
So for business risk, your key persons would be staff, or your clients. Capital stability would be your investment. Reputation is your history or your image, thank you. Alignment of interest would be who are you catering to, and governance would be your regulations or rules, laws that you abide by, processes.
Okay, everybody remember who's the most critical, important person in an organization?
Janitor.
The janitor.
The
janitor. Why? Why is the janitor?
Because everyone should know.
The janitor is the one that has the ears to the ground. They know actually everything that's going on in the organization, despite the fact that they have that title. they're still the go-to person in most
So
organizations.
title doesn't necessarily determine competence and importance.
No.
But we love to do that in the Bahamas. Use a this and use a
Stigmatize,
that,
yeah.
and so guess what? You stay there. But I can tell you one thing, after you done do all of that qualitative analysis and this, that, and the report, but if the report don't get to nobody,
Don't make any sense.
it don't make no sense, right? Okay, all right. Capital stability. What's a critical factor for investment risk relative to capital stability? Which component, which tier? No, not the three tiers. Not for you, Jonathan.
It's the quality of the capital you made?
What qualitative component from capital do you employ within the organization when you consider investment risk? What are you going to use? Which part of the capital? I know.
Your reserves?
Just start off.
No.
You're going to use your reserves.
Start off.
No, you don't use your reserves.
That's back up. That's your back.
No. No, that's fine though. Some people use their reserves in a crisis situation.
You mean
But-
from the perspective of making an investment in,
Jonathan
into
is
a
said
business?
you. Your working capital,
Okay.
right? So that could be additional paid up. That could be whatever excess amount. That could be. You understand?
That's your part.
That's your part.
Yeah.
That's your retained earnings. And the reason that is because you have counter-cyclical certain buffers, right? Relative to your capital. And why is that? Because that is there to preserve the risk within your institution. So, without us blinking eyes, it's imperative to understand that you as risk managers have to be on the pulse of how capital is being pierced with the risk weighting of certain asset classifications. Right? So what in the world did I just say? For a retail bank, where's some of the risk driven? Some of the risk driven from a retail bank. Okay, I was wondering just now. I was a little scared. I was like, nobody answered me. I was confused. Okay, so you establish a quantum to whichever relative risk in that retail sector, right? And that has a weighting, and that weighting is then positively correlated with certain components such as your credit risk rating, credit scoring. What are some of the other peripheral factors for quantum and qualitative analysis when determining the appropriate risk weight? Because you can't say, oh, I can just put 70% on capital carve out because the person ain't paid. So you want to apply a gearing, right, to each component. Which is why when I sent that email with the financial ratios, we were going to take it up a notch, right? So you need to read those ratios because it's not, again, it's not about the definition of the ratios. It's how do we apply them, right? So let's go here. Investment risk, market, liquidity, leverage, diversification, model, failure. Going back to market, what are the market risk factors? What are the two main factors? Two main, because there are several others. What are the two main factors to address systemic and non-systemic risk? I can come back to you. 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 Two factors. How do you, two main factors, how do you address effectively now? How do you address your, what's that? Your investment risk when you consider the market component? We doing investment risk cost, right? Okay, so,
How do you mitigate the risk?
yes.
Hedging?
Yes.
Come back to me.
I still come back to you though. But the main, because that falls under one of them. Right?
Insurance.
Insurance is right. That falls under one of them. Say it, that's a D. Diversification. One. Why is diversification important? To
Spread the risk.
give me a financial observation on why diversification is important. Let me hear some financial terms. I just get little goosebumps when I hear little things coming out. Say again? Sign of maturity.
Yeah, in terms of growth.
I come back.
Grace.
Come back.
Really early.
We come back. No, but true, we come back. True, you know why it's come back. Yeah, you know why it's come back. So, there is a point that diversification is important to avoid cluster risk. I just want to have some terms, because when you see the terms, I don't want you to be like, what this is,
I got you.
right? Or to quarantine, you want to quarantine any kind of material, financial impairment, right? Yeah? That's some good words, right? Yeah, that's some, right. What's that next big category? So we have diversification. After we realize we need to diversify, let's say, let's put that in abeyance at the moment. You're an investment manager, right? Pillar one. What is the first thing that you want to do as an investment manager? You have a client, $1 million, right? What do you want to do? Oh, you don't want to diversify. Yeah, you don't
want to
know.
look at your risk profile.
You have to determine that.
Risk profile, risk appetite.
And then you got to look at the risk
And
limit.
Like the type of investment.
I wanna have the pillar one thing.
Strategy.
I want to build the investment strategy, right? So we're going to build a strategy. And the components within that strategy is going to be the risk appetite, right? It's going to be their risk tolerance, right? Now, what type of portfolio structure would you give to a young person? Let's say 18 to 25.
You give them, you give them more.
Whatever's within their risk appetite.
Whatever. And that is most appropriate. But that is also appropriate to say, I wouldn't say high risk.
They won't less risk averse.
That's what I was going to get to, right? So, based within their risk tolerances, you want to drive them to appreciate that they are at an age whereby they could consider certain standard deviations or degrees of error for financial loss, right? So hence, I could give them some high risk considerations, but I still want it to be a bit of a hybrid sort of structure where you preserve wealth,
Yeah.
Okay,
right?
makes sense.
So you always want to be at the point where you preserve. The key to risk managers is to preserve principal wealth. I paused there for a minute because I wanted that to digest. That was intentional. The key to a risk manager is to preserve principal wealth. And remember, wealth is not just only financial. It's your principal resources. It's your fundamental strategic decisions. When the board is considering material issues that they don't have the answers to, remember what we said last week? You have to be at that focal point to be able to say, okay, in light of these discussions, in light of this assessment, here are some recommendations to preserve our principal wealth, our strategic objectives.
Is that why risk managers get fired before CEO?
Correct? That's very true. And that's a good observation. You know why? Because you ain't do your job. I can tell you, and I said it last week, any organization that does not have a sufficiently or adequately functioning risk management capacity, whether it's in a dual capacity for someone like a CEO or COO, separate as an individual, assessing the macro and micro risks of each individual unit or department, ain't nothing happening. Ain't nothing happening. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Hence, why the central bank has imposed, and impose is a funny word, but they've required,
Impose is a better word.
Yes.
no, they have established the minimum expectation to begin to have the governance and risk view that you need to be. And you need to understand, you need to have this risk. Yes, you have your strategic plan. Yes. But remember how Basel is structured. Remember I told you about the pillars and shaped like a house, and that risk framework, that's the foundation. So any organization that don't have that, yeah, I know your strategic plan, but where's your risk structure? So 2 years ago, a lot of when the Swiss-Italian treaty started to really surface, so a lot of the banks who have clients concentrated from Italy and Switzerland, they started to, I would say, get kind of rid of this risk capacity. Because, and I'm talking about the Bahamas now, because the view was, especially for the subs, because the view was, oh, we manage risk at the parent level. Because their thing was, for as long as the investment's working and they're giving us a sensible level of return, we don't need to hire someone to assess risk because they're only thinking risk at the market level relative to the investment. Right? But there's a slew of risk. Ops risk in general, right? That a lot of them have not considered. Coming here today, you now see a change in your environment. Greater expectations for data analysis, analytics. All of that is in the risk capacity. Right? Yes? So, I see we got the questions. Who didn't get the email? Didn't get the email. Well, let me share out one of these tables first. Right?
No, I go.
To preserve principal wealth. Sharing of information.
Like late last week, Thursday or Friday.
Okay, cool. I could give you one now. So did Miguel speak to you all about the questions? Your mock? No? I'll pressure him again. Okay. So we're going to go through these questions. All right. Question 1. You can read. Everybody here? Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
The feature of a well-functioning investment industry that gives investors the ability to quickly buy and sell a significant amount of investment without having a material impact on the price is described as A, liquidity, B, competitive market, C, risk transfer.
Anybody want to give it a shot?
Liquidity.
How come?
Competitive market.
Quickly buy.
Quickly
buy.
and sell.
If it was competitive markets, what would the question look like?
Price, it would be more based on price.
Yeah.
If it was risk transfer, what would the question look like?
Some type of risk transfer.
I guess it's swap between.
A swap between two parties relative to the exchange of some impairment or covering of some impairment, right? Yeah? Okay. Y'all think I playing it?
No.
I don't want you to just know liquidity. You gotta know how else the question can come.
Yeah.
Alright? Let's go. 2. Right here. This table.
According to fundamental, ethical, and professional principles applicable to the investment industry, which group should have its interests ranked first? A, clients, B, employers, C, co-workers.
I think clients.
Clients.
When they use the words ethics.
What's the driver? What is the driver?
Fundamental.
If we say clients, what's the key word?
Ethical.
Principles.
Fundamental.
No?
Investment.
Investment.
I didn't know, sorry.
Yeah.
You gotta open your mouth like when you go in. You see GI open like. If it was employers and co-workers, because they kind of fit in the same class, right?
Organizational profit.
Right, institutional, right? Institutional focus. 3.
Regulators often seek public consultation prior to the implementation of new regulations in order to
C. C.
Favorable to those who like
If you consulting with all,
You check with the people.
regulators.
I think it's C.
I would actually go B.
Thank you.
What is education?
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying about education.
trying to get,
We are seeking public consultation.
Educate.
I want to reach out to you, I would know how you thinking,
Yes.
right?
That's B?
So
But
maybe C then.
education is getting, so you could create it.
C.
So
And
you
not
want
make
it
it
to be.
favorable.
Yeah, you wanna
The
know-
way this question is structured, the answer is C.
It is?
However, there's a however, you know I have a however. However, right? The OECD, from since 2016, has now imposed transparency and accountability requirements for all government organizations. Hence, we see governments now and government entities going digital. Right? So the digital platforms and all this talk about blockchain technology and enhancement and this kind of thing is for transparency. It's for you now to be able to, instead of having to call the central bank and ask me what's the status of your application or what's the situation, you could actually go in, you have a number or a ticket number, an identifier, and you can actually trace that to completion, right? And then there are certain IT general controls that if you don't meet certain criteria, de minimis for the application, it just don't go through, right? So what does that mean?
That means that the answer could then be B, I guess.
The answer is B, because the whole idea for me it is that you want to get the information out.
No, the answer is C. The answer is C. But my point is today, this is what we facing. This is the reality of the environment that we are in today. So what does that mean? We have transitioned on the era and paradigm of innovation, right? So there are resource engineering throughout the organizations that's happening. So all that stuff what we used to be crying for, get rid of them, government when you stay lazy, they ain't doing nothing, all that good stuff. Ain't be no operator. You get transferred to the directory. I actually get calls, and it's sad, right? You know, like how we used to be. You won't call the number just so you could reach your body. I was trying to call, and whoever answered the phone, I actually feel sorry for them. Because they got to hear the full story.
How long did you get here?
Yeah.
You gotta be CEO, you gotta be COO, you gotta be HR and everything about it. Right? And I have the most unfortunate position whereby central bank number is 2600 and I have T-bars as an old number, which is 2601.
So you're the next one.
So when people say 2600, you know they go to the next number one. Oh, I trying to read. I actually answered the phone one time when D. Craig, former governor, called from the Ministry of Finance, and I said, listen! Because I was so upset, right? Then she said, Jermaine, I understand. I said, Wendy, that's you. Is that what you said, Wendy? You said you ain't changed that number yet? You have a problem. So anyway, the point is,
So now we know we will get you to call 2601.
you pick up on that? So which tells me, right? Y'all, let's pick up on what y'all want to go on.
We got an issue over here.
Dial my number though, stuff. I ain't even lying, that's my number. But for real though, think about it. The point of what I'm saying is, this question could simply just talk about OECD and innovation and what is important. It gets to be simply asking you about accountability and transparency, right? Because guess what? Under that structured question, all three of these answers are correct. You're educating, you want no cost benefit.
Actually, I did say you should have a D.
Hey, you gonna have that. But my rule is the answer's always C. If you don't know. I mean, that's what I've been doing. I don't know what y'all
If I go in there and my answers always see, I come up with a fail, you could be in trouble.
Listen,
When in doubt, choose C.
when in doubt, you will see. Listen, now if all your answers C, you know you got a problem.
Yeah.
Okay?
So are we really concerned that the new rules are favorable? That is that really a consideration for the persons affected?
What's the point of a rule? What's the point of a rule?
So that it's a rule?
Rule, yeah.
So that
Like a regulation
So
change.
that it's enforced, but it may not be favorable to the persons that are impacted.
You have to at least
Because
be
we always-
reasonable.
Yeah,
Always
it's the driver behavior, so it has to.
Reasonable but not favorable.
Regulation should be driven by improvement in the lifestyles, improvement in the people, processes, socioeconomic structures. It should be something that creates this change, right, of development. And so, really, at the end of the day, you want everything to be good. So you wouldn't want someone like VAT. I'm just saying.
It's not favorable.
No, VAT is favorable.
To who?
VAT is well, we can break it
Macro,
down.
macro.
VAT has a macro positive impact, right? But it's just not at this time. We know what the issues are, right? We ain't got to go there. VAT is good. VAT is good. You know, let me tell you one thing that people don't realize, right? Why VAT is so good. Because you now, as Bahamians, invested in your own country, as opposed to FDI, right? If they actually apply VAT the way it should, the way it should, there's going to be less dependence. Now, notwithstanding there's an interdependence country-wise throughout the hemisphere, right? But there will be a less dependence, right? So they could actually put some stuff in the capital projects. Now, let's use that as a springboard to finish talking what we was talking about. OECD 2016, right? Guess who's the leader for innovation, technology in the Caribbean? Take a guess. Which Caribbean country?
Jamaica.
No, Jamaica ain't even there.
No?
I thought it was there.
Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the money is. That's where all our money is.
That's where all the
They have an economic issue
all of the
now.
merchant banks and all of them.
Interesting, and I'm glad you mentioned that point. True. What happened at the governance level from a fiscal policy and monetary policy perspective that caused a favorable shift to Barbados? Because remember, they was like getting ready to let off 80% of the government workers and country in despair and
Changes.
Default? I thought that she went into serious.
Trying to remember. It's been a while.
Didn't she default?
Right, I thought the
Didn't they
IMF had to
default?
step in, or IMF had to step in.
I mean, what we're calling the parties to the table refusing to pay, I mean, that sort of thing, what you do, you bring the parties to the bargaining table, renegotiating, that sort of
they
stuff.
got a bailout.
Mm-hmm.
They got a bailout. She just said bailout. That's all she was saying.
That's what
Remember that. She was saying bailout. So, did they get the bailout? Yeah. But
restructure that debt in.
Infrastructure.
That's what I'm thinking, debt restructure.
Ease of doing business.
ease of doing business. Remember what the question said? I said the shift of business to Barbados. So the ease of doing business. So guess what? If you want to open an account before you go to a bank, you can, just like how you do your visa, right? Set up the appointment with the officer, submit all the information, this, that, the next, give the doc. When you go into the bank, they don't know you. You done stand up, you sit down, 2 minutes, pop, pop,
That's
pop.
why y'all relaxing everything now, right?
I just saying. I just saying. You know we on that. You know we. But it's the same thing at the government level. What about tenders? transparency with that, right?
So now there's.
Who all put in this thing and who is who?
Oh,
So what they
okay.
call it now, it's a pool, like you gotta register in order to provide services or something.
Portal.
There's a portal,
This is what
procurement.
I'm saying.
And because of
Okay.
the situation with that cost, be cheaper too.
Exactly. So cost benefit analysis, it became more favorable. So now, the ease of doing business, you have a ship, forget BVI, forget Cayman,
Yeah.
forget Bahamas. Because they just think they know it all because they close to the US and everything and they don't want to read stuff. No, for real. Think about it. The cost of doing business. What is the average minimum wage for the professional with a bachelor's or master's degree in the Bahamas?
$18,000.
Entry
What?
level.
Okay,
Entry level.
don't talk your business in here. No, I mean for real though. Macro.
Like 30 what? Like
Macro.
You said bachelor's degree?
Bachelor's, master's degree with experience.
Bachelor's,
Say
master's.
40,000.
35 to 40,000.
Tell us about
You get this.
But he
You
said
was watch Friends
experience.
right there back in the
He
day.
said
How much is that? 27? $1.
Okay, for real.
Anywhere from
25.
25 to 35. That was
Yeah,
that.
about 25. About 25.
If
Yes.
they're lucky.
Yeah.
If they're lucky.
About 25 to 35. But do you know where that
Bachelor's and a
is?
master's.
Do you know where that is?
Why? You should buy it.
Everyone has it.
Diversification.
Yeah.
They're all.
Why is that? Economics. Marginal utility principle. I know. Why does man talking about economics? I know. Right? Demand, supply.
Yeah.
Right? I get a master's degree, a dime and a dozen now. What you talking about?
But in that case, shouldn't then we have full employment? Or close
We-
to?
Hold on. Hold on. Classification now. I am talking
That's
about
true.
professionals.
Professionals.
Gainfully employed, right? And those actively seeking work,
Employment, yes. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So, I come from Cayman or Canada, because that's where we go now. Dr. Johnson's them, but that's where we go. I just say it.
Yes, they do.
No, but I like, listen to me. Anybody who is on the course of change, I love that. I love that. The hell with this hurricane thing, I gone.
Deal with the snow.
I dealing with that.
Well, I guess with Brexit,
Why
we can
would
go
you
to
guys
the UK
know?
now, right?
I'm just saying. Brexit can send us to the UK.
If they could
So
ever
if
get a
Bahamians
timeline.
ain't talking about, I mean, watch this, right? The only time we ain't scared to get off the rock is when we gonna catch that sail in Miami and Fort
Spend
Lauderdale
some
and New
money.
York and we going to one basketball game and one concert and we are not even, our price elasticity on the need to travel is completely inelastic. We don't even care. I going, I feeling good. It's a holiday. Y'all done buy y'all ticket, right? I just said, don't cause me to go to work and pull your file. Because I don't know who get the vacation loan. I just said, because they done gone. They done gone.
Falling sick.
Listen to me. You start your vacation from like Wednesday because now the strike.
You talk about vacation, but you don't talk about the sick.
Hold on, we can get there. You don't. When they do the data analysis on the best time to buy an airline ticket, they was like Wednesday,
Yes.
Tuesday to Thursday.
Yeah.
When you do an analysis of vacation leave
Just before the holiday.
Holidays.
just before the holidays, between Tuesday and Thursday, they gone. So when I see my staff put up a vacation leave between, who used to seriously take vacation leave between Tuesday and Thursday? Are you kidding me? It used to be like a Friday,
Yeah.
right? Maybe a Thursday, you could get a Thursday here and there.
On Monday, they come back.
And Monday.
But I said
Ain't
vacation
nobody
every
start a
week.
vacation on Monday.
No, I said my
Yeah.
vacation every
No,
little week.
ain't nobody's do that.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
we leaving from until
Wednesday,
Friday,
Thursday.
Monday.
Anyway,
In the
still-
past.
Oh, yeah, the Friday,
on vacation today.
on a Monday?
No, today, Tuesday.
Tuesday,
This
Thursday,
Wednesday?
gone.
It's the best time to buy ticket.
This
Tuesday,
best
Thursday,
time?
gone.
Tuesday,
So,
Wednesday.
so guess what? So, hey, what they're looking at the end of the day, is you're trying to find, now, as risk managers, because them people making sense. So they done do an analysis. They done benchmark. We used to be doing all these things, you know,
Yeah,
right?
they and all the rest.
They done assess my best chance of purchasing power. Hotel, car, you, the bundle. That's what I said.
And then
Yeah,
the
this-
earlier
this-
you buy it, the better.
Yeah, you both.
Hello,
Yeah, so you book that.
buy two, get one free.
Yeah,
Mother sick, I gone.
you buy that from last year.
I gone, class cancel. You all didn't get the memo? Check
I was,
email.
I was looking in the parking lot and
Tuesday, I almost go and tell them you're being serious.
I was waiting to see the email, but I love
Listen,
I thought he was gonna have Easter break.
so the point is, right? All of this data analysis, all of this breakdown, just gotta make sure. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I can deal with that later. So, seriously though, the imperative is that data analysis is important. If you're not doing data analysis,
Some sort of analysis.
if you're not hedging, if you're not doing a proper diversification or allocation of the risk, then your impairment is inevitable. Right? So, next question. Next table.
So, a financial advisory firm that implements internal policies regarding information barriers, suitability standards, and restrictions on self-dealing is addressing issues related to which of the following types of regulation?
Internal policies.
Regarding information barriers. Disclosure. And restrictions on self-dealing is addressing. See?
On self-dealing.
Yeah, say the same thing.
I say see.
You don't know this thing.
Firm that implements internal
Suitability.
When you start talking about information barriers, that's disclosure. When you want to know about information and the barriers, that's disclosure.
Suitability.
What about
standards.
self-dealing?
Self-dealing.
Self-dealing.
But they said
And
Restrictions on
restrictions on
self-dealing.
self-dealing is addressing issues
Are
related.
we talking about trading?
Trading, yeah.
Are
Trading.
we talking about trading in this?
Yes.
No,
Is there anything that says trading in here?
No, I don't think so.
Are we talking about anything about disclosing
No. No.
Sales practices.
sales practices?
Sales practices?
Yeah.
Information barriers, suitability standards, okay, right there. So restrictions on self-dealing.
A financial
What they
advisory firm
mean?
that implements internal policies regarding information barriers. See, when you're talking about information barriers, I was thinking that was
The self-management, non-systemic, yeah.
suitability standards in terms of the customer, okay, the product, that sort of thing, okay.
Yeah.
Self-dealing, give me what means.
We were just breaking that
Oh,
down.
sorry, go ahead.
That's like a non-systemic assessment of how you, while there's a macro standard, how do you align your own standard with the macro standard for suitability of whomever your stakeholders are in the context, product, services, customers, in that way.
Basically sales pitch, that sort of thing.
Not really. It's more like a ops consideration in the normal course of business. Your self-dealing and engagement with the market.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So while there's a macro view, you have to ensure that your micro view
Is aligned.
is aligned with that.
Okay.
So you will see a lot of the regulators will say, are your policies, practices in alignment with regulations so and so, right? So your self-dealing, your self-management,
Okay.
right? And all of this should be driven by the risk manager, right? So let's go, question 5.
5, the best financial statement to use to find information about what a company owns and owes others is called the balance sheet.
Is it really?
What it owns.
Yes.
Assets and
Owns
liabilities.
and
Assets, liabilities, shows the income.
Yeah, profit and losses, income and expenses, and your cash
Yeah.
flow is what's
The movement of
Movement
cash
of
in and
cash.
out.
Yeah, the key
Let me ask you something. In the retail sector, what is the risk manager going to use?
Cash flow.
P&L.
Cash flow,
Cash
flow.
flow.
Okay, cash flow.
right? On the commercial sector,
Go back to that.
let's go back to that.
Retail. Okay.
Retail. Cash flow. Because liquidity, coverage is what is important for serviceability of any level of exposure.
Okay.
So how you manage money,
Your cash. Okay.
what you have at the bottom line, your DSR, right? That's why it's important. The balance sheet is going to give you a nice health check, right? A nice gearing view.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the
But-
cash flow that you know your movement, what's available, what's. Yeah.
You're going to see my land, my car, my clothes, my watch, and all of that stuff, right?
Okay.
But show me the money, right? How that move.
True.
On the commercial side, what's yours?
Both income and balance.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
On the commercial side, which statement or set of statements is yours for
From the
analysis?
From the income statement and the cash flow.
I see the income.
I usually use income and balance.
What is the main driver on the commercial side?
Income statement.
Cash flow, the net income.
Income and cash flow, I mean.
Net income.
Okay, what do you want to do as a part of your analysis on the commercial side?
We're looking at the various ratios.
The stability you have available, the earnings.
Yeah, we're looking at the ability to pay, to service,
Profitability.
And so in order to see the profits, you gotta look at sales versus the cost of expenses, so you want to see both.
we could talk all day, but you want him.
So basically the balance sheet.
On the commercial level, on the retail level, we chose a customer approach, right? And the customer approach was we want to see how the liquidity coverage can assist with serviceability of any exposure.
Right.
That's a major consideration on the retail side, right? What is the major consideration on the commercial side? So, wealth management, right?
Profits,
Say again?
profits, what do you?
No. Wealth management is a major consideration, right? Treasury, right? Consolidated treasury, consolidated management.
We're looking at retained earnings on.
It's based on your driver. It's based on your driver. So you would want to look at the balance sheet.
So,
Cash flow would be helpful. Income would be helpful. But your balance sheet will be the main, because you started to bring it out, but I just wanted to know if you knew why, collectively as a body. Because you could talk about the ratios, and that's why I said it's important for you to understand the basis of the ratio, the gearing, the net stable funding, right? All of these ratios combined, because that's where your analysis is going to begin. Yes, you're going to delve into the income statement as you do your analysis, but on a commercial side, because it's on a larger consideration, right?
Yeah.
There are even some political and regulatory factors. There's so many factors on the commercial side. Even when you drill down to the customer, right? You need to be able to assess that a quick health check, right? 6. This an easy one. I got a laughter. This is an easy one, number 6.
The two variables will have a strong linear relationship. The correlation coefficient between the two variables will be closest to
Tom say 0 to be safe.
Yeah, all of this.
Don't try that.
Yeah, positive and negative, right?
They're pulling away from each other, so
Yeah,
cohesive.
be closer to 0.
Yeah.
How much people in the organization close to 0?
Many.
How much organizations are, if you use their strategic plan, their governance and risk policies and procedures, and if you put that as your point of symmetry, right? That's your point of balance. How many organizations are moving away? Do you think it's moving away? And what's your health check for that? GDP. Right? You go macro level first, see how the country is performing. Then you go sectoral, and then you can see how sectors are performing. So we go to financial services, how are we performing? What is happening in our financial landscape that's causing us to be not so correlated with what we plan to do?
That's the surveys that y'all do those.
That, as well as what is let's talk about what is actually happening. We talked about Barbados, the shift of business to Barbados, right? We talked last week about CRS, right?
becoming competitive internationally, implementing, like you said, best standards practices. So it's with WTO and all these different things, is trying to get up to a world standard for a level playing field.
Yeah. That's a
So
good point.
regulations and different things, transparency and all that other stuff like
Yeah.
you discussed.
That's a good
Fact,
point.
all that.
That's a good point. What else is there that's causing us to lack correlation?
The entire industry is streamlining, restructuring itself, become more linear, more efficient.
IT, I guess.
More
Say
responsive.
technology, right?
Outsourcing.
Outsourcing.
Question: is outsourcing good?
Sometimes.
It can be, depends. It can be.
Depends which side you're looking at.
Can I have a positive and then a negative? Advantages and disadvantages.
Cost of doing business is cheaper for outsourcing.
Typically.
Typically, because normally outsourcing goes to lower cost jurisdiction.
No, you can't
Yes.
take the risk.
I mean, you can transfer.
Lower cost jurisdictions. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Okay, so economies of scale.
Sweatshops, yeah.
Yes. What else? So that's on the positive side, right? What's on
Hey, you're not gonna get me to, that's being recorded.
Job
You're gonna say
loss.
that, no, don't try that.
job losses?
Job losses, yeah.
I had to pick up my
The
voice.
negative side, lack of control.
Lack of control.
The customer suffers most of the time.
Customer suffers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about outsourcing from a market intermediary perspective.
Yeah, the question is
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
transferring risk.
Transfer risk,
And
risk transfer.
outsourcing,
Yeah,
you can transfer some but not, some but not all.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, no matter how much indemnities and hedging and
Yeah.
insurance you have, the accountability still
Ultimately
rests
lies-
with,
Yeah,
the service, person who's receiving the
service
service.
provider, yeah.
Yeah. So, market intermediaries, right? We talked last week about land, BGRS, right? We have our wonderful organization, Securities Commission, deals with mutual funds, and you have the Investment Securities Act and all these other ones, right? And we can talk about the full suite of acts, under the governance both of the Central Bank and Securities Commission, Insurance Commission as well, right? However, market intermediaries are fully outsourced for the entire country, right? That's a shock to everybody. Oh, that's not a shock. Please tell me that's not a shock. Okay, it's real. You are not in the matrix. It's real. And so, what happens? We are hedging our bets with investments. So when you make a deposit, where is the wealth of return generated? Right? Money don't just make itself.
No.
Right?
From the investments and
So we don't have a stabilized capital market structure. Right? So we have our funds in bulk, invested in different exchanges globally. We do it via market intermediaries, broker dealers and whatever have you, but the flow of funds is through the market intermediaries. So from an investment risk perspective, what risk is driven from that? We started talking about it earlier, right? First of all, I think the lady over here, I told you I was coming back to you, right? Both of you, actually.
No. You
So,
didn't say
no. So you have matching principle and timing, journey and settlement, right? Because if they have an ops risk issue on their side, it's not going to settle, right?
correct.
You have reporting deficiencies, right? Reconciliations, right? We talked about credit rating, their gearing and assessment. Back to that commercial point, do we have a balance sheet view of our intermediaries, right? What is our strategic arrangement? Is it flow through? Is it custody? Is it brokerage? Is it investment management? Why you need all of these things? Just take my money and put it in the market. You know what I'm looking for? No, you need this, right? This is the framework. So as risk managers, you have to assess what are the inherent risks associated with this structure. You have custody. You also have advisory. You also my investment manager. You also my broker.
No segregation.
Conflict of interest.
Oh, yeah. Segregation now.
Well, when you deal with large multinational corporations, they do have a
Different,
way.
yeah, they, okay, yeah.
So let's have the real risk discussion, because it's beyond segregation of duties, right? It's beyond potential. It's conflict of interest. Guess what? The risk manager is going to come into the room. I expect conflict of interest. I know it's there. That's inherent. I expect that. I'm not afraid of that. So what does my agreement allow to mitigate that? Do I have a separate legal entity within the group of this company that addresses that?
We do that here plenty.
Okay, we do it. We do it already. Right? Do they have the insurances?
Yes, we do.
Right? And they may have insurance, but I wonder who checks the reinsurer. You have insurance, eh? Okay. What happened to Clico again? So everybody checking the insurer,
But nobody was checking the insurance.
but they checking the reinsurer. Is your money really coming from the reinsurer? Okay. So what about the investment manager? They sound good. Some of these companies we don't even know. They say, man, they're from the US. I'm from the UK, that's in Singapore, you know. That's them over there, they be straight. can tell you one thing, some of your own Bahamian companies got more technical capacity and experience than them internationally, right? Are we taking a stock check, due diligence view of these relationships? Guess what? How many of your files? Hold on now.
We need them.
You need to turn the camera off. You need to turn the camera off. You're gonna continue.
Listen, Linda. How many of your files have you re-evaluated for appropriate management of those relationships, for financial viability, for solvency, for competency of those individual structures? When I go on site, both from the central bank and when I used to be an auditor and E&Y, talking on my business. The reality is this: when certain relationships establish, that just go in the box. Now, if it's an individual, oh, give me the passport, give me a blood test, give me give me everything. And guess what? She ain't pay her loan, so I saw her in the food store with this full trolley. Because we have this non-systemic view. But the risk came from her. Pay your bill next time. Thanks. But what I'm saying is, the real view comes from that materiality threshold component where the greatest level of impairment is. The country's wealth is outsourced.
You all allow that?
It isn't even that. The reality is this. This is a fundamental structure of our country. That is why it's one of our main industries. It ain't because it's successful. It's because it's lifeblood. We created the interdependency. I don't think somebody will notice. But again, you don't have the risk manager, right? Okay. You need that lunch? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So, let's go to number 7, right? You get your email, right? Okay. Let's go to number 7.
If a decrease in the selling price of a company's only product results in an increase in the company's total revenue, the demand for the company's product is
Elastic.
What's inelastic?
No stress. It doesn't respond to no matter what the environment changes, the price will change.
What's unit elasticity?
Specific.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You didn't know?
One unit. What is it?
Product specific.
What is unit elastic in the Bahamas? Crickets. Oh!
Have the Google unit elastic.
Talking about my people. What is unit elastic? What happened? Hola, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo vive? Sure. Guten Tag.
Changing prices. Changing.
Boom. What is it?
I don't know what that is.
You ain't get it.
Price change, but the same amount, same set.
It's changing price because
All
of
these
the change in
smartphones in here,
quantity.
you only have no smartphone.
No matter how the price change,
The change in price.
It's over.
it'll still have the demand.
Say again, I didn't hear you, sorry.
Is the price changed by the same amount or same percentage?
Yes,
Even if the price changes.
yes. Yes.
I get it.
You say it out loud?
The price changed by the same amount or percentage?
Makes sense.
Price change by the same amount or percentage. What product in the Bahamas has had a price change by the same amount or percentage?
Everything I said.
Okay.
Everything by 12.
What is it? Price change by the same amount or percentage.
That's 12% everything. Consumer, now living number my bread basket, what you call it, I know.
How about
Cause an equal proportional change.
how about the interest rates? Some of the lending interest rates, right? Across the sector, right? With all of the relative institutions across products and services. So interestingly, some of the banks went up in their fees and they started off sometime in 2016. And it was a bit of a shock, right? Why are they charging so much fees? Who doing that? We had the strike. Then it was a trend.
And everyone went up.
Everybody went up. Well, you have every rational basis, right? That they have helped us to appreciate, right? But
So y'all gone up on bank fees?
and so you got your own elasticity, right? Let's go number 8.
So what is the correct answer there?
The correct answer is 8. See, because what happened is, I know some person could just kind of Google some of the questions or whatever, so that's fine. But you got to remember, again, the session is not about your ability to tell me what the correct answer is here. We're going to understand the question and how it could be changed in different ways. So number 8, I'm going to do 2 more and then we're going to get into the slides, right? Which of the following action taken by the central bank is expansionary? We were just talking about this. Under what conditions would the central bank increase the reserve requirement?
Sorry, say that again?
Under what conditions, market conditions, would the central bank increase the reserve requirements?
Contractionary. A shrinking.
Contractionary, okay. But not in all cases. But I understand principally. Because if you have a contraction in the economy, you also don't want to lock up the liquidity, right? You want to actually relax to stimulate. Yeah? But if it is in a crisis situation, you want to lock up.
Yeah.
Right? So the analysis is appropriate, but there are different stages to contraction. Right? There's healthy contraction where there's a point of recovery, and then there's a deteriorable point of the contraction where you just need to get in crisis mode and try to salvage whatever you could. Right? Expansionary. What are the cases that will cause the central bank to increase the prime rate? What is the prime rate?
4.25.
4.2.5%.
And what is it by definition?
People want to go down and then
The
they
economy
pay.
going bad in Italy.
No, it's the,
It's the rate that the bank charges.
It's the underlying rate that banks lend to each other.
One of it.
it's the lowest rate, but the cost of the
Cost of borrowing in between institutions, right? Okay, right? So, what will cause the central bank to increase? By way of monetary policy, the prime rate.
To slow down growth,
Yeah, to slow down.
accelerate growth, slow down, or control spending.
Celebrate growth or the opposite?
No, he's right, slow down the growth.
Slow down the growth. Yeah.
So you have economic boom, you have, you don't wanna cause possibility of some type of stagflation on the economy. But we actually had the reverse, right?
Yeah.
We went down by how much basis points?
couple.
The last
50.
one, 0.5.
50 basis points.
Mhm.
What's basis points?
And we've been going down.
It's just
for a while.
percentage points.
Percentage.
Percentage points?
But the time before that was 50 basis, it went down twice.
Gone down 3 times, I can remember.
3, I remember twice.
So let's settle on that just a minute. Let's settle on that just a minute, right? So a basis point is a percentage point, right?
No, a basis point is a percentage point divided by 100.
Thank you. Because I was getting a little scared. I was like, we need to talk about this,
0.5.
right? So 50 basis point as a percentage is what?
0.5.
0.5. You will see these in your investment agreements. Basis point change, trying to make a decision, there'll be bips, right? And you need to be able to say very quickly, this looks good. I see the yield, I see the bips. There's a yield of 2 bips over a 2-year maturity. Uh-huh.
Okay.
I want number 5 from McDonald's. I'm just saying, you gotta understand the language, you gotta be able to relate to certain terms. It's imperative, right? So, increasing the policy rate. Making changes in monetary policy, let's change it up a bit. So the central bank makes some changes in monetary policy. Your organization makes some monetary policy decisions. What does that mean for the institution? You now received an email. Effective today, staff can now borrow up to $100,000 unsecured.
What?
Borrowing with it.
That's the thing.
Complete access.
What is the first thing you would think about as a risk manager?
What the hell?
As a risk manager, not what you could spend that money on.
What is the risk of you getting it back?
That's what.
The risk, you say service risk?
How you can get it back?
Hey, salary deduction, eh?
No, you say they may take them and run.
Some people
You may
put
never
more
get
than
it
Take the money and run Venezuela.
Take the money and then resign. Your name on this? You need to put your name on that. You do that for me. I come back to you. No, seriously.
But what would it be? It has to be backed by something.
You gotta be backed by what?
You can resign.
He says unsecured.
Life insurance.
Yeah, but it's unsecured that way. But if you decide, we gotta get this.
You're on the right track.
Some way.
So as the risk manager, what should be the first thing? We started off talking about it. The assessment of the company should start with what? Strategy.
Tolerance.
Then the report that we're going to use balance sheet. What material change happened in the strategy and in the balance sheet that would cause communication of 100,000?
Profits were good, man.
Excess.
Mind you.
Profits may have been good.
I'll call it a bonus if that's the case.
Excess.
Excess.
Unsecured, but government no doubt.
60,000 unscored.
Some banks.
But this was a unique change, right? So let's look at the state of the economy, right? Let's just assume everything good or neutral. So economy factors remain constant. We're not concerned there. Where's business generated for the company? Let's just say Switzerland. John, just shift a little bit like. Okay. Switzerland. Interesting. Did we have a significant yield in the European stock exchange? An influx of business growth in third-party maybe deposits? Do we have an AML concern? I said risk managers, I didn't say people who want to get some quick cash. Right? Do we have an AML concern? So business was concentrated in Switzerland, but the largest depositor from Africa. Let me check the OFAC list. Let me see something happening. Compliance officer was also changed, right? At the parent company level. Maybe a control weakness. Let me look at the consolidated financial statements. Was any other company within the group of companies impacted, right? From a dollar value quantum. The risk was concentrated to the Bahamas. Wonder why? We got the smallest office. We are the profit centers.
You know they can lend that money. You know they can get that money out. You know
Clean
the immigrants
that
are
up.
gonna borrow. You know
We
they can
are-
send it back.
We are.
Tingsy.
We can clean it up. Yeah.
We are.
You like that?
So from a money laundering perspective,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
an opportunity.
Easy thing.
it's now placed
It's integrated and now it's being
Layered and-
Yeah.
and it's been laid.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
What else? What other consideration? What currency did this money come in? Did it get the exchange control approval based on the amount? Is the beneficial owner a resident of the Bahamas? Because you're the largest depositor, so you must have a vested interest in the company. Did we have a change in ownership? Y'all still want 100,000? I just saying.
Company risk.
So let's just.
But it's the risk manager who has to now ask these questions
Well, first of all,
or understand.
that
the risk.
shouldn't have been being approved
No.
without the risk manager looking at that.
Yeah,
That's why they get fined first.
understanding the risk.
So, you now go in, we dissect this a little bit, and we realize everything cool. Everything good. Okay, me and I'm no concern. Operational risk. What concerns do we have?
Loss of staff.
Staff leaving, resigning, taking the money.
I think it's coming back to you. They take the money and they're gone. How are we gonna cover it?
Pension.
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 But most people don't be in bank 5, 10.
They invested that long.
Invested, right?
They invested.
So maybe the 100,000 should be a measurement of their
Salary, income, yeah.
aligned with,
The pension.
yes.
Okay.
Not everybody's gonna get the 100.
100,000.
Up
No,
to.
it could be up to.
Up to.
Yeah.
So are we changing it now?
It's up to.
Up to.
Up to.
Now we making sense.
You can't
Yeah.
secure that with nobody pension, no.
Say again?
You can't secure that with nobody pension, no.
I was getting to that.
Depends on the investment and the value.
New regulation.
Not if you live
Let's hear this, let's hear
It's
this.
new regulation, you cannot.
But we doing it before implementation, bro.
Yeah.
I just
You cannot
said.
assign someone.
You can't assign. You can't assign. Yeah. Yes.
But can the company assign its portion?
Then you go back.
Ah, that's right, that's right. Make
Why
out.
would they?
Match.
Corporate guarantee.
That's right, match.
But why would
Corporate
they?
guarantee.
Why would they?
No, because they're lending you, that's their risk, that's their, how they
Right.
mitigate it.
And that's how they're
That's
also
a
gonna make
mitigant.
money, because if I
Yeah.
lend you that at an interest
Correct.
rate, but it's backed by my portion,
Thank you, that's secured.
I
At
earning
least-
money twice.
Thank you.
Or I'd find a very creative way to integrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to be on the cutting edge of innovation.
Double dipping.
Okay? So,
It's coming to.
so what else is there?
There is probably just as big as if they stay. Because then what's the incentive for production anymore? You,
So from an ops risk, people ain't gonna work no more.
no, it'd be like, I don't, that's like hitting the biggest number you ever hit.
Okay, that's at a level, that's at certain levels too.
We coming back to Jonathan.
Yeah, at certain levels,
Yeah,
because most
because-
people already invested more than $100,000 for you to walk away from your job, you know money. Hello?
No, I'm not saying to walk away, but I'm saying to lower production level.
No, but you may get more productive employees.
I know, but you. But the staff that I work with, payday, they be on time, they most productive. You can always tell. Payday.
Very well on me.
Honest, like,
That's what they want.
it's like couple days before, complete depression.
Zero.
What? On payday itself.
That's what the
You
right?
It's feel like Easter, all kind of colors and Christmas and music playing, and I be like, okay, yeah,
I like a
so,
lady,
yeah.
but the voice.
Yeah, I got some leading indicators as a space. I be like, you know, and I have to have emotional intelligence when I want to make certain decisions, right? I can't come out asking nobody to do nothing special
No,
on paid.
no.
You owe the, no.
They get extra hour too?
What?
What you say?
No.
You mean you're
What do you mean an extra hour?
I'm serious. Listen,
Bingo.
your greatest asset is your human capital.
Yes.
If the people mind ain't right,
Don't get them, they get away.
they can't focus. Yes. You don't. Hold on now. Numbers don't lie. Statistics will show Bahamians have less than $1,000 in the bank account saving. Most people working from paycheck to paycheck. What you talking about? I mean, we have some anomalies, right? So we could talk afterwards.
You still have a problem.
But I just saying.
You still have a problem today before too, because they're depressed because they're broke, so they can't function then either.
Yeah, but that's why you have the window. That's why you have the marginal. Every supervisor and manager need to know the marginal utility window of productivity.
Yeah.
2-3 days before payday, you don't talk to nobody extra. On payday, I tell
That's only in government, eh?
Listen, no, private sector. I used to
No,
listen.
not really, no.
Don't let
No.
me agree with
Certain
that.
departments. No, I agree with you. Certain departments, they
That's the
produce
least
it.
productive day for us.
No, but what you will find, what you will find is right. What you will find is
No, that's
certain
That's what
I
he
can
said.
observe them.
certain environments. What they do is they incentivize you
Okay.
to be happy.
All the time.
So you get paid once a month? That's what it is, eh?
Anyway,
Yes. Bank.
I just saying. Yeah.
Okay, so that could be the issue there.
Once a month?
I mean, if you do it once a month, twice a month, the reality is that there's
Split
an,
it into two? Twice a month?
No, let me get
You
paid once a month.
Once a month.
Regardless, you still need to
Split
know
your
that
loan
window.
payment.
you gotta know that window.
That window of high productivity.
So going back to the point, right? You have $100,000, right? How are we going to hedge? How are we going to properly hedge? How are we going to cover this risk? So we had a couple points, right? We're going to align. Not everybody's going to get the 100. It's going to be in alignment with tenure. What happened to your application and behavioral scorecard?
Productivity,
We want to get some reference from the financial institutions, right? We want to appreciate that. Somebody laugh, right? But no, but
No, this is a risk manager
No, it's
coming into
unsecured.
play. Oh, that's what you're saying, with the risk manager.
and from a risk management perspective, hold on. Let's back it up now. Because it's unsecured, I can't ask too much questions.
You take too long.
Give me my money.
You ask more questions.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
more questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody's,
No.
no, I am saying,
Communication and come out.
from a risk,
Mortgage cop, diet and
They should have done that before they send out the
They
communication.
do that before they send it out. So they wrong.
Yes, once that done out,
we can't take it back.
I ain't messing with
you have
y'all.
operation risk now, how you gonna manage all
You
them
have a big
application the
operational
next
risk.
day?
In fact, don't even ask me, didn't put my HR file and get the information from
How you
there.
gonna
Get it,
manage all them
yeah.
applications?
Oh Lord.
You
I
need staff,
can send Tyra on a day job.
you need staff to process all of them.
You need staff to
The next
process it.
day, yeah.
Yeah.
How you gonna meet that demand?
Listen. Oh, look at this. Okay. I wasn't ready.
That's a change in class.
It's too late.
Y'all ain't easy.
That's a big day, that's a big win.
Listen.
Jackpot.
It's not like that's flowers. But look here.
That's
So-
what it is, everybody wins.
Who are the lines of defense that should have been addressing these risks? The first line.
That would be the line staff that, but I mean, the first line.
No, in this
At this
instance.
instance, well, that's your,
The risk manager.
your risk managers, well, that's.
No, who's taking the application, whoever is the processing?
Which way?
Let me understand your question good.
You mean before this come out?
The board.
When it comes up.
Okay.
When
The
after, it
board
can't
and
be
senior
after.
management.
Okay.
It can't be after.
All right.
Compliance.
Who should have structured the framework?
The board and the senior management.
The risk manager,
Structure it.
Senior management.
the risk manager,
The risk manager, the senior management.
Yeah.
Who should have ratified it?
The board.
And they should have had certain specialist considerations, right?
Outsource
Right?
if need be.
Right? Outsource if they. Now, on the ground, the email come out. Oh, you done, let me back up. Is the email out? Who's the first line of defense?
Defense your manager.
No, that's what the loan officer, whoever's writing the ticket, the application.
Loan officer.
Loan officer
Right?
is taking the application.
Whoever, cause that could be
Loan
an
officer
email.
or HR?
That could be an email where you
Who bring the makeup of the
It
officer?
depends on the makeup. Because HR transitions into a loan sort of facility
You may have a
capacity,
particular
right?
officer deal with employees. Right.
So then, who becomes the second line of defense?
That's credit risk, that's
That's
the
credit.
lines of defense,
That's the credit committee.
the adjudicators. Yeah.
You adjudicating? I think you just want to use that word. No, when I first learned adjudication, I used to walk everywhere, but we adjudicating that. Wait, what? We adjudicate? Wait, you ain't ass adjudicating? I didn't know we, when we talking, we exchange of the words.
Yeah.
in the barbershop, I was adjudicating all day. You understand what I'm saying? So real. All right. Before we go to yeah, we can come out.
Yeah.
Right? After the next line of defense,
This is after
This is the second you want or third you want?
credit. We on second.
Okay.
Okay.
We got credit. That's one. And within credit is who? Credit risk, and then who else?
The committee. Credit risk is adjudicated.
Audit.
HR need to be in there too, right?
Depends on how you set up.
Yeah, okay.
The first line is the credit officer, our second line we're dealing with now is going to be, our risk managers.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Uh-huh.
I was waiting for you all to just put you all in there somewhere.
Okay, our risk managers.
Risk manager. All right. In addition to the credit risk, because credit risk is for that non-systemic. This is the micro focus, and then you have the risk manager. I'm going to see all these applications and say, you know what? Your finance person to say, okay, the dollar value impact of this, and this. What is the trajectory? What is the risk of serviceability? What's this, that, and the next? Okay? Then, after we assess feasibility, because before you even go to adjudicate, we have to assume that everything could be approved. Right? So now, we got a file to go to the third level of defense, which is who?
Audit.
Approval committee?
The adjudication ain't ready for you.
Adjudicate.
Okay.
Approval.
So,
Yeah.
you're going to review, you're going to criticize, you're going to assess internal audit, all of these individuals, everyone who is independent from the process, right? Depending on the nature, size, and complexity of your organization, certain individuals will get involved. And then what prohibits that sharing of information? Policy, yeah, okay. Confidentiality, because you're small, and like you hold two different hats, and I know you, and I see that you're trying to get 100,000, but you only qualify for 50, because you special. You need to rewrite. I need to rewrite my email.
Your email said you giving loans for $100,000, but they ain't saying nothing about up to. Yeah, you ain't saying nothing. No,
You didn't see the asterisk at the bottom.
no, you said the up to, but the point is you ain't saying nothing about if you qualify or if you. So you need to reread that.
Terms and conditions
Rewrite that. You
Terms and conditions
Okay.
apply.
Thank you. Okay, that's better.
Because nobody can believe.
No.
You can be that crazy.
So,
Let's make that word right.
So, you got these three lines of defense, and everybody always talk about the three lines, right? Because that sounds good. So, give me a fourth line. I know.
If you're
talking about the phone him.
Well, if you're adjudicator is your third line, then we're
Audit,
saying that
yeah.
audit would be your
Audit.
fourth line.
No.
He's auditors.
There's an audit
No.
coming.
He's inspectors.
Audit wouldn't be a part of the risk management process?
No, risk
No?
management, well, I
Yes,
need to
the
go by our
audit.
framework, our risk
You
management.
don't approve it.
Yeah.
You don't approve it.
Uh-huh,
You don't audit it,
uh-huh.
right? Everything cool.
Security.
It wouldn't then go to
You wanna-
supervisory process where it's up to them to write off, right?
You want right off too?
Check off.
Right off. Right off.
Because, see?
So our approval would
Give
be.
me 1 week.
The no check.
You know that,
Right on.
We got to monitor.
we got a monitor.
We got to monitor.
That's a fourth,
Yeah.
right?
That's
That's a
a
fourth.
based on, like, for us, monitor will be at a, okay, I got you.
No. Let's remember now. We're taking a realistic approach to assessing what happens in a normal course. You get an application, you review it, you get it approved, you audit, assess it for quality check and everything else, right? AQR review, right? Board sanction everything, ratified, it in the book. Fourth line. The fourth line is the most dynamic line. And that's your risk management.
How much
I know you said it, but you keep changing your answer. So you either know it or you don't.
So why you need risk management at the fourth stage after you?
Because now, because yes, in most instances, and I need you to get this, right? You gotta get this.
Over, tell me the four so I can write them down again. I'm serious, when you finish sum this up, because I getting.
Don't worry, we can sum it up.
Yeah.
So in most instances, your second line becomes your fourth. Because your fourth is your dynamic, ongoing, who has custody of the relationship. The first line is gonna get it. It coming through them,
Yes.
right? It coming through them, okay, now I gotta distribute this to someone because now this is a practical thing, but then I need the person who deals with it, the specialist, right, to look at this. The specialist then puts it all together, package it, do all the analysis and everything like that, right? Look at it from a quantitative, qualitative, all the data analysis, all the analytics, everything in between. Then we going up